Okay, well, that was a minute of me dropping my phone on the floor and I was trying to switch it, and it said it was working. And when I hit live, it was all in the right horizontal framework, and then it said it wasn't going to work. So I don't know, whatever. Let's just kick this off, and we are going to. So obviously, the thumbnail says, "Who loves Charlie Kirk more?" So look, with the obvious, we've got Candace Owens on one side saying, well, I was Charlie Kirk's best friend and I know everything about him. And then on this hand, we've got Erika Kirk, who is obviously his wife. And she's like, no, I know everything about them. And obviously on the face of it, we would leave his wife over, his best friend. And that's the way it should be. It should always be the wife that is the most intimate, or the spouse that has the most intimate relationship, intimate connection, intimate knowledge of that person. The problem that we have is that Erika Kirk is not necessarily coming up smelling like roses. And so we can't necessarily take her actions at face value, her words at face value, or everything that's happening, because there is a lot happening. We all agree that there is a lot happening, right? Candace Owens over here is on the attack. I mean, she's not even just going out and Erika Kirk and Turning Point USA, and she is going after Ben Shapiro and everyone. And that's not new, but that's true, right? Candace Owens is on the attack. The problem I have with Erika Kirk, with Candace Owens, with everybody, the problem that I have with all of that narrative is that they're both acting incredibly disingenuous. They both are acting, maybe one more than the other, and I want to get in. They're both acting, they're both lying. They're both saying things that are untrue. They're both, and this, I don't know anything about either of their personal lives. I never watched either of them. I never even watched Charlie Kirk before any of this happened. So all I'm doing is taking what's in the public domain and looking at it from that perspective. So let's do this. So as always, thank you for being here. Please like, subscribe, do all the things if you're interested. Obviously, it would be great for me if you did it. I would appreciate it. So we do have a question before we do this. As Barry Bent, sorry, you almost caught me there. So seriously, this is a serious adult. And if you do not want to have adult conversation, then feel free to watch somebody else. But okay, I will stand by the fact that I did an entire Erika Kirk and the way that she was expressing her grief. And I am not backtracking on that at all. That was a podcast about weaponizing when a person grieves. That wasn't about Erika Kirk specifically. Use her as an example. And it wasn't about who she is as a person. It was, and again, I don't know that. I've talked about this in past streams, that we only see a public persona. All you see of me is a public persona. You don't know me the way that my husband knows me, the way that my children know me, the way that people, in my personal life know me. And it goes the same for Erika, for Charlie, for Candace, for Tucker Carlson, for Donald Trump, for Ben Shapiro, for, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Kamala Harris. Like, we only know the public persona. We like their public persona. We may like, and that's how we base our votes off of. That's how we base our stuff off, is the public display that they give us. So that's what this is all based off of. But back to the podcast that I did, this live discussion that I did about Erika displaying her grief was about grief. And I used Erika Kirk as an example because everybody has been attacking her about the way she grieves. They are weaponizing the way that a person grieves, the way that a human, in order to attack her for whatever reason. You could say use that because other behaviors were shady, or they had questions about things that she was doing. So they used her grief as a way to attack her. Podcast about that was that isn't fair. That is never, ever fair. Now, I also did a podcast. It was actually my last discussion. It was my last discussion before Christmas holiday, New Year's holiday. And that one, to be fair, was about Candace Owens. And it was like, hey, you are incredibly brilliant. You are incredibly smart, investigative. You use a lot of your resources. You pull everybody together and you use those resources. But seriously, this is an honest question. How has it taken you so long to figure out like where you stand? And maybe that's fair, even to process your grief in a way that that doesn't make sense to other people. And it's fair to process your opinions and your views of the world. And those should change. Like as we grow and evolve as humans, we're not the same person that we were as a teenager or early teens or a midlife or as we get older. Like we're not the same person throughout our life. Hopefully we'll maintain the same morals. Hopefully we'll maintain a lot of the same way that we want to interact with people, the way we want to treat people. But overall, we evolve, we change as people. That's part of our whole life cycle. It's like the beautiful part of life is that I don't have to be judged for like who I was when I was in high school. Thank goodness. I will give some grace to both of you, but in regards to this podcast today and the last podcast that I did, it's a little bit questionable. Actually, I'm going to bring up some of that today in regards to some of the things that has done. Is why did it take you so long to figure this out? So let's get into the meat of this. The whole premise today, of course, is, how these two women are really battling it out. And I know that thumbnail in cheek, but really like, this is like, it's kind of like a man who's beating women that are in his life and them fighting over the man instead of holding the man accountable. Now that doesn't relate at all. I'm not sure it does. But it kind of gives off a little same vibes. Now, as a caveat, I will say, I am totally transparent. I am a guy of Candace where things are out in the open, where we don't have a shadow government doing things behind the scenes, where they have a bunch of secrets. Like, do I believe that like the government should be able to keep like their nuclear codes private and strategy when it comes to like dealing with other worlds on the down low? Like, do I agree with that? That's a nuanced question because I don't really think there's more than ever. There's definitely people up there running the show, and we literally are just farm animals. But of course, right? Sure. Like if you need to protect citizens, you need to have something under the radar, okay? But when it comes to investigating, when it comes to something that occurred publicly that affected every single person, and then saying, "Don't worry about it," little child. It's like little children. It's like parents, of little children. We're like, you don't need to worry about that. That's a little, over, your age or your ability to comprehend, right? Like, no. Do I think the government should treat us that way? No, absolutely not. Okay, so I do agree with Candace in terms of let's see the evidence. Like, let's see why is there a picture of Tyler Robinson in front of an island named Valhalla? Apparently having some issues. Hold on. And then Kat talking about Valhalla. Like, it's all just weird. And why can't we like why is it weird? Like, obviously we should know about it, but why is it weird? So we'll just put that as a caveat. So if you're watching and you're like, well, who, where is she coming from? That's where I'm coming from. It should be. I never. Yeah. Bluetooth isn't on though. Okay, is it really bad? It's not really bad. Okay. All right. So we just took a little break there. Apparently, it might be a little bit choppy. The signal might be a little bit choppy. So let me know what you're seeing on your end. if the sound is okay, if everything's okay. Please leave comments. I would love to hear your comments on this whole discussion as well. So I can get back to my train of thought. When it comes to influencers, when it comes to celebrities, when it comes to political figures, when it comes to elected representatives, like, I'm never going to have a judgment about those people. And I don't mean I'm not going to judge their actions. I'm going to do that. I am never going to have a judgment about, like, a final say. I'm never going to have a final, like, yep, this person is trustworthy, or yep, this person knows what's up, or this person, I'm on their side, because the only side that I'm on is on the side of truth, on the side of to the answer, and on the side of us being able to live our own experience without being manipulated. I watched a series video. It was, I'll just say, this conversation is not about that, but he talked about the 3 ways that we are being manipulated. The big 3 psyops that are being done on American citizens right now, or maybe even human citizens of the world. And he asked, what do you think the biggest psyop is in the world right now? And I think the biggest psyop is that there is no psyop, right? We are all living in a domain where everything we see, everything we hear is a manipulation of some sort. You can have the absolute best intentions. Even, like, I will tell you, I have the absolute best intentions with this podcast today, but I have bias towards what I believe is the truth. And that does manipulate you as a viewer in a certain way. And we have to be able to figure out which side, which part of the manipulation we believe in, right? Because manipulation doesn't have to be bad. It doesn't have to be evil. It's just a way to figure out what the truth is. And we're going to do, people who want to share ideas always are going to have to use some sort of coercion. Coercion can just be stating for an hour, what you think about a topic. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is, I will never settle and say for certain, I'm on this person's side, or I'm on the side of truth. I'm on the side of knowledge and being able to have ownership and our experience in this life. I may agree with people on certain topics and I may disagree with them, but at the end of the day, all I can be honest with is myself. So, okay, great. So, talking about the individual nuances of Candace's behavior and Erika's. So we are going to start with Erika. Okay, and a lot of these are going to overlap a little bit. But for my list, I'm starting with Erika. So, okay, one, right? Okay, so first thing, when Candace started posting about Charlie, she stared at us. She just was like, stared into the camera and said, the only 2 people who can get me to stop this are my husband and Erika Kirk. It's, unless she's deleted the videos, it's all right there. She looked straight into the camera and that's what she told us. So what did Erika do? She looked straight into the camera. She said, stop, right? She did exactly what Candace Owens asked her to do if she wanted her to stop. So this comes around and she totally skews the situation. She's like, well, I would stop lying if you just could tell me what I was lying about. On the face of it, that's not necessarily a bad answer, right? It's a pretty good answer, but it's disingenuous to say, I'll stop if Erika Kirk tells me to stop, tells her to stop. And then she's like, well, you tell me to stop in the way that I wanted you to tell me to stop, so I'm not really going to stop. Good grief, it sounds just like my kids. my talks to my teenagers. They can wrap their brains around making up an excuse for anything. I would have so much more respect for Candace Owens if she had said, look, everybody, I know you heard me because I'm the number one podcaster in the world. I know you heard me when I stood in front of the camera and I looked you straight in the eyes and I said, if Erika Kirk stop. I'm going to own up to that. But what I will say is I can't. And I can't because when I said those words, which obviously stopped saying after she got into it a little bit, after I said those words, I never had any idea that it would take me down. It's taking me down. And own up to it. I mean, that's what I would have had so much more respect for. You would have gone from being disingenuous to being honest. If you just said, I've met you. I've loved you. I loved you because Charlie Kirk loved you. I loved you because you were Charlie Kirk's wife. I loved you because you are a woman. And I respect it. You have made a name for yourself and you have worked hard. Name for yourself aside. I stand by women, so I stand by you. I never imagined there would be anything attached to your name. Whether you know it or not, I'm not accusing Erika Kirk. I'm not accusing Erika Kirk. I'm suggesting that say I'm not accusing you. But like, seriously, like, where is your genuine honesty when it comes to this topic? Because this is like the most brazen, obvious, like skirting around the truth that like, you said you would stop. She told you to stop. And then you said you weren't going to stop because she didn't say it the way you wanted her to. Like, it's pretty ugly. It's pretty twisted. And there were so many ways that she could go about handling it. And then here's Candace Owens every single day saying, you should hire me for your PR, which maybe stop saying that because every time you say it, it reminds me that you have very systemically chosen everything that you're going to say. So that leads me to the next point. In one of her recent last podcasts, I haven't watched her since the break, but she said, there are religious Christian-based influencers who are lying to you. There are Christian-based religious influencers who are paid to go out there and paint a narrative. And I know that's true. Do you know that's true? Like, just like there are vaccine paid influencers to go, political influencers to go out. It was illegal during COVID to market the vaccine, pay celebrities to do it for them. I talked about this in a paid. I would think it would probably be paid really well. All they have to do is go on the internet and argue with the talking points that they've been given, right? So Christianity, the business of religion, is no different. But the problem I have with Candace is she follows it up. It's like bookended. It's like back up, or I guess not bookended. It's like, hey, don't listen to Christian influencers while I sit and tell you about my Christian influence, while I sit and preach the Catholic Church, which of all the religion, if you wanted to do a big mega corporation that was a religion, what bigger one could you choose than Catholicism? You are up there, Candace is up there preaching all day long about Jeffrey Epstein, Donald, protecting against pedophiles, saving children. She goes and joins Catholicism and wants everybody to get on the bandwagon that Charlie was going to do Catholicism too, that he was going to become a Catholic. Now she has like a big cross or rosary. I don't know. I'm not Catholic, so I don't know about I just know she brought up that she had religious type of statue in her background. And all she does is preach all day long about big government, big corporations, and how they're manipulating you. She can't see that she joined the biggest one of all. Then she says, which did anybody else just find this absolutely shocking, that I don't do my own thing. I go to I don't go to the Lord for answers. And I'm totally paraphrasing. So if I get this wrong, I totally own up to that. But she was like, I go to my preacher and he decides for me. He tells me what to do. I'm just like, how do you not? It feels, again, going back to the point of the stream, this feels disingenuous for you to tell us that big corporations, big government, big business, big celebrity, big everything is out there, and they shouldn't be telling us we should be able to make our own decisions, except when it comes to God. Like, just as a caveat, like, you and God, having grown up in a religion that told me the same thing, it was not Catholicism, it was Mormonism, that you need somebody to come in between you and Jesus. You need a mediator. You need a righteous religious figure. You need somebody that's closer to God than you can be. That is false. That is cult preach, cult teach. You and God, like, God created you. You have a one-way line of communication to God, and you need to give up your relationship with God and give it to a man. That I'm just shocked. Like, that is completely an antithesis to everything Candace Owens supposedly stands for. When she goes up there and she preaches about influencers, man, that is really hard to take, especially when she like follows it up like with not even like a breath, but not me. My faith, my belief is true, right? I feel like you don't need, like, are we children? Like, are we so pathetic that we have to be told everything? Like, do we have to be told step by step who to listen to, who to talk to, who's genuine, who's not? Put up with, but me. You know, it feels so not only disingenuous, but incredibly selfish. And again, like, I do appreciate where she's going with this. I appreciate what she's putting out there, but we also have to ask, like, if she's being disingenuous about some things, doesn't mean she's disingenuous about everything. But it makes me give pause. It makes me wonder. Okay, so that leads me into another thing. Okay, so here is another question about Candace Owens being disingenuous. She never admits when she's wrong. Like, let's go back to the whole Erika Kirk, tell me to stop, but if you tell me to stop, I'm not going to stop, right? She will admit when she's wrong, when she has a misspelling or a typo. And again, let me just say, I've really only been watching Candace Owens since Charlie Kirk's death. But what I have noticed up until then, and doing a little bit of research, I've gone back and watched a couple of her other series or episodes. She'll admit, like, when she got a tweet wrong, when she misspoke, when she maybe got some dates wrong or a plane tail number wrong. But on the whole of it, like, she did not come out and like ever really admit that she was wrong about something like that has any value whatsoever, right? We all make mistakes. We all have autocorrect. We all, forget a date or something, but like, you were wrong. I'm just going to state it unequivocally. Candace Owens, you were wrong about Erika Kirk telling you to stop. You said that you would stop if she asked you to, and she asked you to, and you're wrong. You're wrong about it. There's no mincing words. If you want to come out and say, I changed my mind, then change your mind. That's human. If you want to say, I uncovered stuff that I can't let go, then do that. But you were wrong. And you never admit that. You always have a way of seeing it so that you come out looking untouchable, right? And that, to me, is the most disingenuous of it all. It's like pure narcissism. A narcissist will never admit when they are wrong. A narcissist will never say, I'm sorry. And the worst thing that you can ever find yourself is in a relationship with a narcissist, right? Prove me wrong. Is that right or is that wrong? Nobody ever wants to be in a relationship with a narcissist because you have no power. You have no sense of self. Everybody should retain their own power, their own sense of self. They should be who they are, and you should be respected for who you are and the power that you have in a relationship. And especially, in an intimate relationship, in a romantic relationship, in a family relationship, in a parent-child sibling relationship, like, the respect that we have for each other is paramount to our human experience. And as an influencer, this whole stream is about influencers and what influencers can do and the power that they can have over us. Like, we need honesty from the people who are going to be preaching to us. We need honesty, an admittance of guilt, an admittance of wrongdoing, an admittance of false character. Like, every once in a while, you're going to be wrong, no matter how right you are. It's just true. And owning up to that saves more, just gives us a sense of who you really are. But right now, you're just a caricature of a person. You're just the number one podcaster in the world that's angry, that's going after everybody. And those aren't bad things, but it's only one side of it. There's nothing genuine about not admitting that you did tell. And yes, she did admit that she did say that, but she's also twisting it like, well, stop what? Stop. You haven't defined. It's like, define blue, right? What is that famous Bill Clinton line? Like, define, or maybe Hillary Clinton said it. I don't know. Okay. Okay. Let's talk about the making money. Okay. This is like classic deflection. So now we're going over to the Erika Kirk side of things. Like, how disingenuous, and Candace Owens has pointed this out a lot, like, how disingenuous is it to say that people are making millions off of Charlie's death? Right? Candace Owens has pointed out that Erika Kirk and Turning Point USA has made millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, that right, just in one sitting. Who knows how much that has gone up to? And in Candace Owens' defense, she made a really good point saying, this is what I've always done. This is what I did before Charlie Kirk ever died. I was a podcaster. So making money off of podcasting is just my livelihood. That's like saying because I have an opinion about Charlie Kirk and I go off to work at a job. Say I work at Target. I don't, but say I work at Target and I go off to work at Target, and maybe I talk about Charlie Kirk's death there, that I'm making money off of it. That's essentially what Erika Kirk is saying. It's incredibly disingenuous. Everybody is making money off of Charlie Kirk that has a platform, that has a podcasting platform. I'm not, because I am not monetized. Thanks for watching. Maybe I will be at some point. I mean, I've had this channel for a long time and I'm not. But anybody, And so my question for Erika Kirk when it comes to being disingenuous is it just Candace Owens you don't want making money off of it? Because you're fine making money off of it, right? You've also got dozens and dozens of podcasters that are all talking about this. And we're not talking about it, right? Again, like I said, I'm not making money off of it. I'm not talking about this because I am trying to gain viewership from it. I don't mind gaining viewership from it. I'll just be honest, like, thank you for watching. Like, I appreciate that you're watching. I'm trying to make sense of it. And that is, I will say, when it comes to being genuine, that is what it feels like. That is on the surface what the core of what Candace is trying to do. It does feel that way. I'm trying to make sense of it. I am trying to find like-minded people that are trying to make sense of it and that are trying to make sense of it in the same way that I am. I am trying to figure out what is real in the world and who to trust. I am trying to say, we are being controlled. Who else is going to stand up against this giant, powerful machine? Even if all we do is say, hey, we know we are considered farm animals to the people that have power. I'm just trying to find the people that I can relate to. And I've also had this channel for 7 years. I just haven't talked about this because 7 years ago, this didn't happen. 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, this didn't happen. But again, this is just something that we've all been doing. I have toyed with a whole bunch of different types of videos and how to compile videos and how to do family memories and what type of vlogs I wanted to do and which type of live broadcasts I wanted to do. And I've settled on this. This is the era that I'm at in my life. And so if I get views off of this, is Erika Kirk talking about me then? Like, who are you talking about? Because you're very pointed. You're very pointed in who you're directing the money making off of. And let's be clear, tons of people are making money off of it, but let's be honest, there's probably thousands, if not more. I mean, I know there's only like 1% of people like become monetized on YouTube. I mean, my husband could tell me exactly the number, but very, very few people on YouTube ever become monetized. And that's just part of the machine too. It's like you have your big people. And all right, let's take a quick break. We've got some comments. I'm going to pre-read them first. Okay, aliens are approaching Earth. That is so interesting. Okay. So no comments. That's all right. I would love to hear what you have to say. We've got a few viewers in here, and I would love to hear what you have to say. What do you think? Do you think I'm speaking anything that resonates with you? Am I totally off the mark? In any case, thanks for watching. Okay, so making money off of his death, right? Like when things happen in the world, they happen to all of us, right? I don't live in Venezuela, but I am affected by Venezuela, by Trump invading Venezuela just as much as you are. I don't live, in a lot of parts of the world, but I'm very deeply affected by the things that happen. If by no other reason than the fact that I'm a citizen of the world, and we're all connected, and it all matters to us. Like the way that the behavior of the government that I live under affects me deeply. The events that happen in the world affect me deeply because they become a part of all of our consciousness. They become a part of all of our stories. They become a part of all of our histories. And they affect us deeply in how we choose to move forward, how we choose to behave, how we choose to operate, the truth that we decide to tell, the stories that we decide to share, the way we interact with other people. They all affect us. And so it's so disingenuous to say that people are making money off of it, because then the next like natural thoroughfare is like, so we can only talk about it like in private. We can only talk about it like when nobody's listening, and joke's on you because everybody's listening all the time. Thank you, Edward Snowden. Like we don't have any privacy. Citizens of the world don't have any privacy. Everything we've ever said, will ever say is being compiled right now. Everything we've ever written, texted, and maybe possibly thought is being compiled right now into a database, and none of it's private. So at what point, and people, right? People have access to this data, can use that to make money for themselves, right? The scariest thing in the world is AI right now, and that AI can take images of people on the internet and make them do things, horrific things, abusive things. They can take our photos from cameras, from CCTV, from pictures on our phones, pictures we download to the cloud, and use those for profit. So seriously, if I hear one more person say that that it is a crime to make money off of Charlie Kirk's death, like I just want to scream. It's I'm gonna say over and over, it's the most disingenuous thing I've ever heard. Like the layers just keep going and going and going and going. Like it's so disingenuous. It's disgusting. It's ugly. Okay. So let's go back to the Ben Shapiro feud. Okay, man, like cussing out Ben Shapiro on her live show was like both epic and like unforgettable. And I don't even know, like there's so many ways to describe it. Sorry, quick thing. I just want to point this out. We got a comment from Lou V70, online dating in general, right? Like I've been married for 23 years. So and funny story, I actually technically met my husband online. This is like way, way back when. All right. This is like way, way back when, before anybody even probably knew the internet was scary. But online dating scams, like they're all catfishing, nudes, like there's no reality in online dating, and there's no, talk about being disingenuous, right? There's nothing genuine about online dating. Like it is so ugly. So fair point. I absolutely love that. I would love to hear more about what you guys think is a big scam in the world. If you don't know, you better ask somebody. Sorry, I got that comment a little bit late, so I'm not sure what that was in reference to, but thank you for making the comment. Okay, so the whole Ben Shapiro feud, like I said, in full transparency, I have not been listening to Candace Owens before Charlie Kirk died. And I certainly never listened to Ben Shapiro because he is the most grating personality I've ever heard. Now, as somebody who is very pharmaceutical hesitant, how should we say this? More naturally minded, like Ben Shapiro is the worst. He's an absolute tyrant. He doesn't come on to any platform and tell you his opinion. He tells you what your opinion is. And that is so annoying. I mean, it's not even annoying. It's insulting. It's super duper insulting. I find Ben Shapiro so incredibly insulting and annoying that I've never really listened to him. So with full transparency, but I did go online and do a search, and I did ask AI a search if there was any public feud. I said, please exclude anything Candace Owens has ever said about Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk. And did you guys know that Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk were collaborating on doing like a multi-series about like some political topics? Like that's what they were working on right before Charlie Kirk died. So did Charlie Kirk find Ben Shapiro like gross and insulting? I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised just because he is. But there was no public feud. There's been a public feud about Candace and Ben. Like we all know that she got fired from the Daily Wire. Anybody would be upset about the way that went down. Anybody would be upset about getting fired when you're trying to protect children and defending truth and goodness, whether that's genuine or not. But the feud is between Candace and Ben. And now trying to posthumously rewrite the past and say that it was Charlie and Ben, which it could have been. It could have just been a ruse. It could have just been for public, just for public's sake. It could have been for public opinion, for, what is the word I'm trying to think of? Just for public, to look good in the public eye. Like you're joining forces with the Daily Wire and Turning Point USA. Like that's a good mesh up. The same kind of people are probably watching both or paying attention to both. So maybe it was just for optics. Maybe it was just for reach. Maybe it was just for, joining forces. It doesn't mean that they didn't have a feud. It's just painting a story that this is what Charlie thought, that this is what Charlie was, is no different than what Erika Kirk was doing, right? Erika Kirk is now trying to tell us what Charlie thought and what Charlie did when it comes to everything, when it comes to Israel, when it comes to, and, Candace brought the receipts for that. Like we already know that Charlie Kirk, emphatically, without any hesitation or mincing of words, said he was going to abandon the pro-Israel cause. And now Erika, now that he's dead, is trying to rewrite the story, right? And she's trying to rewrite that he his whole take on the Sabbath and his whole take on Jewish and on Israel and on all these things. Excuse me. There is a lot that Erika is now trying to rewrite. And she's also trying to say that the way that they met is different. The way, it's like every little bit, like she tells the same story, but she tweaks it just a little bit, which just kind of makes it feel like not only disingenuous, but it kind of makes it feel like, how do you not know the story of you two? How do you not know what happened between you two? It's so suspicious. And anytime there's suspicion, it feels very disingenuous. So, okay. This is something that's been bothering me for a really long time. It's been 3 months, September, almost 4 months. And at the 7-week mark, Erika Kirk did an interview with Jesse something on Fox News and Jesse Waters, whatever. Anyway, she did an interview with him. And she said, and I was watching it because of when I did the podcast on grief, and I really wanted to watch her mannerisms. People were like accusing her of how she cried. You can go back and watch that one. There's even a short about it. And it was so unfair. But she said in the podcast, I turned my phone off for weeks. It had literally been weeks. It hadn't been months. Jesse Waterberger, that's funny. It literally had been weeks. It had been 7 weeks. So how long did you turn your phone off? You said you turned your phone off for weeks, and it had been weeks. So that bothered me for so many reasons. So I'll go down why. Number one, it hadn't been months. It had only been weeks. You had been doing interviews ad nauseum. You never missed an interview to show up in sequence, your hair done up, with fireworks. I counted, I think, 15 times in those 7 weeks. There probably were more that I missed. So 15 times minimum in 7 weeks, but you turned your phone off for weeks. Like, you were out the next day. Granted, let's give her the benefit of the doubt. Somebody in her staff could have been monitoring all that and scheduling it all and setting it up and then coming to her and saying, hey, do you want to do this? As somebody who has experienced like intense grief from the death of a child, everybody grieves differently, but you would turn your phone off for weeks because you couldn't deal with the unrelenting business of people messaging you. So what's the difference between somebody else filtering out all the messages and coming to you? Like, you had no problem doing all the showcases that you wanted to do. You had no problem showing off the cross, right? And we're not even going to go into that cross, right? With all the new theories that are coming out, evidence coming out about that. But she was so quick to show everybody on camera when she wasn't even paying attention to her phone for weeks, the cross that she got him and the whole story behind it, the whole incredibly detailed story about the cross that she gave him that he was wearing on the day that he was killed, but she couldn't have her phone on for weeks. Like, I get it. Like, I didn't turn my phone or I just ignored my phone. I had my phone on. But I didn't respond to anybody's messages. That would have felt much, much more honest and genuine to say, I didn't respond to people's messages for weeks. That makes sense. But to not have your phone on, to not turn your phone on at all, girl, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Like, you're lying. You're lying. You have multiple phones. One of those phones you didn't turn on. Like, come on. Okay. And while we're on the topic, while we are talking about Erika Kirk and this isn't even about people grieving differently. This is just about human, just standard human behavior. Her saying that she can tell her children that daddy's on a business trip with Jesus. That was 2 months. She was still doing that at 7 weeks. How great was your relationship with Charlie? Now, please let me know. Maybe it's really normal for couples and families to spend months apart. Maybe that's really normal for most people. I mean, Erika Kirk hasn't spent. Where are her children now? Who is taking care of her children now? Because she's not. She might see them every day, but she's not taking care of them. So maybe it's normal for some couples to go months without seeing them. I mean, maybe, I guess if you go on tour, I guess if you're a musician, perhaps if you're a celebrity, or definitely probably if you're a celebrity, if you are political, you might not see your family for months. But like, you have a 3-year-old and you're telling them that daddy's on a business trip with Jesus, and you're fine. You're fine telling the world that I'm just watching it and I'm just thinking, Charlie must have never been home, because I have children that age and I've had children that age, and I couldn't tell them that. That would never suffice for longer than about 2 days. It would never suffice. They would want to know. They would want to know where and how long and when they were coming back and why they were gone for so long and why did they need to go. I mean, the unrelenting, never-ending questions that would ensue from a comment like that, or we're just all so righteous and we're so pure that a business trip would don't ask questions, right? Go give those questions to the pastor and the pastor will answer it because we can't have a relationship with God. Why would Jesus take away your daddy for 2 months and there's no problem with that? That is so disingenuous to me. It's a cute story. It's really, really super cute. Until it just goes on for a little bit too long. And we don't need to know how she's raising her daughters. Man, I will protect that forever. We don't need to know how anybody parents their children unless they're being abused. Like, you do you with your kids, and I will respect that. But then don't share these cute fake stories with us about what you're telling your kids and expect us to believe it and not roast you for it and not tell you that you're being disingenuous, because you are. Because you are. Okay, and then that also goes along with this whole idea of, she didn't care when Charlie Kirk came home. His food would always be warm. Maybe she'd have to. It's like, you don't even know what you're saying. You're speaking off the cuff. You're going off script, but you're not making sense. Like, go home. Food will always be warm for you. I might have to heat it up. Like, what are you saying? Because that's how food works. Like, are you trying to say this fridge will always be stocked for you? Well, if you're living there, you're going to have food. I don't know. It just feels so contrived, and it feels so storytelling. And I'm a storyteller. Like, I'm an author. Like, great, tell your stories, but don't try and pass them off as truth. Don't try and pass them off as your real life, because it's not. Like, we can spy a mile away and we know what you're doing. I am talking because I'm trying to remember what I really wanted to say. And it keeps coming to my mind, and then I say something else. But when it comes to Erika and Charlie, there was one other thing I really wanted to say. Okay, I don't know. We're going to get down to the basic meat of what is the number one most disingenuous thing. I know I keep saying this is the most disingenuous and this is the most disingenuous. We're going to do one more, and then we're going to do the most disingenuous. Okay. So, I remembered. Okay. The most human, basic thing that happens when somebody is taken from you, when somebody dies, when somebody is missing, when somebody goes missing or is abducted, when a tragedy happens, that goes along with death, is you want to know everything. You want to know every detail. You're going to retrace every step you took. You are going to retrace every thought you had. You're going to retrace every single decision you ever made to figure out if you could have changed it, because that is the guilt you live with. It is called survivor's guilt. It is real. It is documented. We all know it's true. And so for Erika Kirk to say, I'm going to leave it up to the authorities, is absolute bull crap. That is the biggest lie you may have ever told, is to say that you don't need to know everything that happened. That is such a lie. It is so ugly. It makes me want to scream and yell. And honestly, it makes me want to cry, because as somebody who has watched and lived with somebody who died, you want to know everything. And I'm not alone in that. That is not a specific to me circumstance and scenario. That is every person who has ever experienced loss or tragedy in your life. You recreate the circumstances of what happened and want to know if it was your fault and if you could have changed it. And Erika Kirk is absolutely no exception. The way she acted the night before, who she trusted, did she push Charlie hard enough in how he vetted the people that worked for him? Did he say something publicly that he shouldn't have said? And now he was very open. And regardless of if that was his personality or not, that is absolutely a question that you are going to have. Did he wear the right clothing that day? Did he wear body armor? Did he not? Did I ever suggest he shouldn't do that? Like, if you are not asking yourself those questions, something is wrong with you. And I will stand by that, because something is inherently wrong about not caring what happened to somebody when something like this, when death happens, when something so public happens, when something so absolutely atrocious happens, you do want to know everything. And if you don't, you either have no soul, or you didn't love that person in the first place, or something is very, very wrong. Okay. Now, when it comes to both Erika and Candace Owens, everybody was like, "Oh, Candace, you're going to go meet with Erika, and that's so terrible, and you shouldn't do it, and it's a trap, and it's a setup." And then she went and met with her, and everybody was like, "Oh, you've changed," right? Ian Carroll talked about this. A whole bunch of people like really roasted her for going to meet with Erika. Now, from my perspective, I didn't think that was what was shady, and I don't really know what people thought was shady about it. I didn't spend that much time caring. What I thought was shady about it is after it was over, they both literally tweeted the exact same thing. And that's what was shady. As Candace Owens talks about PR and public image and what you say and how you say it and how you come across to people, then you really should have known that when you guys tweeted the exact same thing, we all knew, oh, we decided at the end of our discussion, if there ever really was a discussion, we decided at the end of our discussion that we were both going to tweet the exact same thing so we would be on the same page. Like, it's so fake. It's so, for somebody who goes up and says everything's fake and gay, like, that was so fake. This is what Candace Owens tweeted. Erika and I had an extremely productive 4.5-hour meeting. This is what Erika Kirk tweeted. Had a productive conversation with the real Candace O. More to come. Okay? They both used the word productive. Extremely productive, very productive meeting. We both agree, more to come from both of us. Like, they both use the word productive, and we're just supposed to believe that was a coincidence. Like, I call BS. Like, that was not a coincidence. That was number one. Like, let's decide how we're going to approach this, right? And we know they had a conversation about how to approach it, because every conversation that you go into, every party conversation that you go into, you have to have some sort of common ground that you meet at, and you have to have some sort of understanding about what you're going to talk about, like what's going to be acceptable to talk about after. So we know they talked about that. That's just, you live in the world, you know that. So we know that they decided on this after. And so why did you decide on the exact verbiage that you were going to use? Why didn't you both, like, why was it so exact? Why wasn't it just like, okay, let's both tweet that it was a good conversation, and then you both say productive? Productive is such a weird word too. It's like, we made progress. Okay. All right. Wrap this up. We're going to come to the number one, right? The number one thing that is the most disingenuous, and this is going to go on Erika's side, not on Candace's for obvious reasons. The number one most disingenuous thing, actually, it's going to go a little bit to Candace. Charlie Kirk never he may have told people to get off the stage or leave the microphone, or they were done, or that they were wrong, but he never told them they didn't have a voice. I did hear him once say, hey guys, don't marry a woman like this, right? But he let her talk. He never, ever, ever. And again, I didn't listen to Charlie Kirk before this, but I have listened to, the worst thing that whoever decided that he shouldn't be listened to and wanted to kill him for it could have done to make people listen to him more was to kill him. Charlie Kirk let everybody talk. He never, ever, ever would have told them to stop. And that's his persona. That is his public persona. What we know, we don't know Charlie Kirk's private life. We don't know who he really was, but we know from his public image, what he wanted the world to know is that everybody deserved a microphone, everybody deserved a platform, everybody deserved a voice, and that you could argue with those voices, you could argue with those opinions, you could tell people that they were wrong, you could disagree with them, but they deserved to be heard. And so, Erika Kirk, why are you telling people to stop? If you are trying to honor your husband and live out his legacy, and that's why you can't go grieve, because your grief is exemplifying itself in a way that is working, that is being out in the public eye, that is putting all of your effort, is manifesting itself into work, then you should honor who Charlie Kirk was and what he stood for. And that was never telling anybody to stop, never telling anybody to be quiet, to stop talking, to forget their opinions, to stop having ideas. Like, he may have wanted you to change your ideas. He may have wanted to convince you that his ideas were correct, but he never, ever told you to stop. He never told anybody to stop. He wanted people to talk and talk and talk. And he said, what did he say specifically? He said, when discourse stops, wars begin, right? Something like that. When you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to want to commit violence against that group. Here's the exact quote. When discourse ends, violence begins. So this is a leap, I will admit this, but if you're calling for discourse to end, Erika Kirk, are you calling for violence? Do you not even know, as somebody who didn't even listen to Charlie Kirk before he died, like, you don't even know that his whole platform was when discourse ends, violence begins? Let Candace Owens talk. Why? What are you afraid of? The only reason we want people to be quiet is because we're afraid of what they have to say. Institutional religion is afraid what people have to say. Cults are afraid of what people have to say. Governments are afraid of what people have to say. Pharmaceutical companies are afraid of what people have to say. What are you afraid of? Let her talk. I don't get it. I don't get, if you want to be taken seriously, if you don't want to be accused of being disingenuous, if you want people to look at you as a grieving widow trying to fulfill her husband's legacy, who was brutally unalived, then you should want everybody to talk. The more people talk about him, the more his legacy lives on, the more that they know what he stood for, the more that they want to have discourse and talk with the people that they love in their life, the people that they disagree with, the more that we want to find common ground between each other. Nothing is more disingenuous than you telling anybody to stop what they are doing in relation to Charlie Kirk. The more we talk about Charlie Kirk, the better his legacy and his memory lives on. Even those who are praising that he is no longer with us. Now, I definitely have made my opinion known about that. Like, that is a terrible way to live. But that is getting people thinking. Like, we live in America, and if there's one thing I saw Charlie Kirk stand for, it was the First Amendment. It was this ability, or the Second Amendment, sorry, the amendment, freedom of speech, to be able to say what you want to say no matter what. Now, the problem that we have right now in America is that we don't have morality. And so when somebody says something that is portraying evil or portraying violence or portraying hate speech, we don't have a moral consensus to say, hey, that's not right. And then that person recognizes the error of what they're doing, right? That all human life has value. So because we no longer have that, then we're threatened by speech. But we shouldn't be threatened by speech because we have morals. And that's what it comes down to. And that is what I'll end the conversation with, is the being disingenuous typically is either hiding or fear. And they're both being disingenuous, right? Candace and Erika, they're both being disingenuous. And as citizens, partakers, right? We want to collect as much information we can from as many sources as we can. Both of these women are excellent sources, right? Erika Kirk was his wife, and Candace Owens was his best friend, and they both have a lot to say on the topic. Doesn't always mean they're being honest. Doesn't always mean they're being truthful. And it's up to us to figure out where they are and where they're not. So leave you with. Thank you so much for being part of the discussion. Let's see if we have any comments to end this out. Again, I'm not great about reading the comments when I'm in the middle of a stream of thought, but you said, what's your line? I probably was saying something about that's where I draw the line. Soft parenting is an abuse. So gentle parent, are you talking about gentle parenting? Kids need boundaries. I'll say that for sure. Okay. Thank you so much. We had a great crowd in here today. Always love to hear your comments. Thank you so much for watching. Next week, we're going to continue this. Something really, really been bothering me. Is every time I watch like more events of this Charlie Kirk case unfold, I'm like, man, this feels so familiar. There is something so really super duper familiar about this whole topic, and like who might have like been at odds with him, who might have benefited if he was no longer the head of Turning Point USA. Who is really taking, right? We know that Erika Kirk is the new CEO, but who is really taking over? And you don't have to just be the CEO, right? There's lots of positions of power within an organizational structure that can be taken over. What about like the auditing reports? Like there's a lot to benefit from this. And I'm just like, this is like so familiar. This is so familiar. And then credit to Candace Owens and Courtney Love, of all people, who brought up Kurt Cobain and Kurt Cobain's death. And, you know, for those that don't know, Kurt Cobain was raised in the LDS Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, otherwise known as Mormonism. And there's a lot of Mormon ties. And I'm like, oh, this is like playbook what happened to Joseph Smith. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. It's going to be wild. It's going to be so interesting, right? There's ties to Israel. There are ties to a succession crisis. There are ties to who would benefit. There are ties to insider information and insider knowledge and trying to usurp the prophet president role, right? Super duper fascinating. That's what we're going to talk about next week. I would absolutely love if you wanted to tune in with me then. Like and subscribe. You'll be notified when I go live, but it is every Tuesday. We're going to shoot for 1:30 in the afternoon Central Standard Time. We have moved, if you can't tell. We have a new background. So the timing's a little bit different. My teens also have a teen discussion with their friends. We homeschool, and I have to line up the timing right with them because we have to share the bandwidth of the internet. So that's probably the time it's going to be on. But again, if you like and subscribe, you can find out when it's going to be ahead of time. So thanks again for watching. Have a blessed day.